Okay, good afternoon, and it depends on where you dial in from. Good morning and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining another version of Megaport Tech Drop-in session. Um, this is a uh, casual technical discussion about Megaport product and solution, and probably some typical scenarios or even live demo um, of our portal and the products, and presented by predominantly our solution architect team. And today it's my turn, and I'm going to talk about global WAN offered by Megaport. And let's talk a little bit about myself firstly. My name is Morgan Wang, and I'm a solution architect here in Megaport, and I'm based in Melbourne. Um, my uh, my role is basically to support our Victoria and Tasmania and the New Zealand-based customers in terms of first point of contact for technical discussion and any questions about the solution and the products. And here's my contact information. Please feel free to drop me an email or connect me on LinkedIn and just say hi, or if you have any questions that you think I might be able to help. Yeah, let's probably just before everything, let's quickly have a overview of Megaport platform. Megaport is actually a built a global platform to interconnect more than currently is 930 data centers globally. And we also interconnect to over 280 cloud on-ramps globally. We provide cost-effective, flexible, and scalable connectivity to between all these endpoints. And you can bring the connection to your local data centers. If you have physical footprint, you can keep the connectivity and the workload on the cloud. And with some new product offering, you can either even bring them into your head office if we have a connectivity available to your head office. Please do check in with your account manager or solution architect, see what options you have with your local, I guess, metro area or your local office. Um, Megaport do have three major access products. Here on the slide, you have Port, you have MCR, you have MV. Port is probably the oldest and the most legacy product we have um, for our customers who have a data center rack or footprint who want to physically connect their data center to any of the endpoints. Where if the customer don't have a physical data center footprint, or if they're planning to move out from physical data centers, they do have the choices to interconnect all the cloud services and other options through the cloud on the Megaport platform. You don't necessarily need to bring anything into your physical rack. Customer can leverage Megaport Cloud Router and the Megaport Virtual Edge, which is a hypervisor platform we provide the customer to run your own virtual images. And from these three access services, you can establish, we call that a virtual cross connection, VXC, in between these access services or to any of the cloud providers we have already interconnected, or to even Megaport Internet or Megaport AX, and some Megaport customer and partners as well through the Megaport Marketplace and the Service Key. The connectivity can be, as I mentioned, between any two endpoints and access services of Megaport platform. For example, the most probably popular and common scenario is data center to data center interconnection, DCI. And you can also connect data center to public cloud, to internet through Megaport physical port. You can also, with a new product offering, relatively new product offering, you can also connect to internet. And if you have multiple data centers, either in the region or globally, Megaport is probably perfect choice for you to interconnect them with a flexible bandwidth requirement and with um, fastest deployment. Um, Again, as I said, a lot of customers probably think about moving out from data center, physical data center, or a pure cloud strategy. With that, uh, I guess, market trend, we also support a customer to establish their connectivity purely over the cloud. Uh, for example, with our MCR and MV platform, you can actually interconnect two public clouds together, or you can, through the MCR or MV, interconnect your public cloud to your data center and also keep the public cloud to public cloud workload between only on the cloud, not necessarily to bring that back to the data center. Um, Another probably typical use case is virtual edge access, where with that MV platform we offer to our customers, um, customer have the option to run that as a SD-WAN edge. With SD-WAN edge, you can actually build your SD-WAN overlay network and bring that into your current network. For example, bring that into your data center or directly interconnect that SD-WAN overlay with your public cloud. That's also possible. Yeah, that's probably more specific about the secure edge connection. And the last one, probably more important today for today's topic, is the global one, because we do have a footprint in over 930 data centers globally, and you can apparently order different services in these data centers, a physical port or MCR or MV, um, and you can interconnect to our partners, connect your Megaport internet service or public cloud on-ramp in these 930 locations. In addition to that, customer can actually interconnect these Megaport services globally to form a global WAN connection. So instead of probably order a international point-to-point service through a legacy carrier, which probably takes 3 to 6 months, a Megaport international VXC or long-haul VXC between two Megaport endpoints access services, for example, a port-to-port or MCR to MCR, will be up and running within 60 seconds. And again, you still have the flexibility to adjust the speed as you need instead of commit a, say, 100 meg or 200 meg bandwidth for a probably 36 months term. That's some advantages and the flexibility that Megaport can bring to the table. So what is a global WAN looks like within the Megaport offering? It's pretty much combine all the typical scenarios together. For example, in this diagram I'm showing here, apparently you have some sites in North America, you have some sites in the Europe, and you have in APAC, Singapore and Tokyo. You do have some physical POPs globally to host your legacy stuff or we currently just do routing. And the Megaport backbone allow you to interconnect these POPs, physical POPs, with VXCs, which, as mentioned, the dynamic speed can be dynamically adjusted. And also, you have the choice, or the customer have the choice to spin up a MCR if they just after a simple routing functionality, or maybe order an MVE if they have specific window they want to use for whatever the scenario. It could be a SD-WAN edge appliance, it could be a firewall appliance, or it could be just a more complex routing appliance. That's all available on the Megaport platform. Yeah, and again, as we do have interconnections with public cloud providers and over 280 on-ramp locations, you can actually interconnect to those public cloud providers from these locations and bring them into your global WAN network through this uh, whole infrastructure. For example, that's Azure on the diagram, connecting to some physical ports in the Dallas data center. And from the Dallas data center, we have a cloud router, MCR, that interconnect the North America into Singapore, and from Singapore to Tokyo, and all the way back to Europe, and then back to North America. All right. So that's probably just the concept of a global WAN, or what the global WAN typically looks like with Megaport offering. Let's get into some demos and show you what it actually looks like or feels like in the real world. Here I got a diagram. Actually, I put together very quickly to represent a typical scenario where customer might need a global WAN service from Megaport. And this is actually uh, also quite typical when customer need to interconnect probably multiple cloud and multiple data centers together. For example, the scenario we run into quite often is with a merger or acquisition. The two business actually had different cloud strategy or different data center locations. But after the merger and acquisition, they definitely need to interconnect them together. And here's the example. I have an imaginary company based in Melbourne who has a cloud router and who uses Megaport MVE to interconnect the internet service. This is just a gateway, right? And the plan is actually adopt Google Cloud for their public cloud workload. And they, for example, um, acquired by a company who is headquartered in Singapore and currently using AWS from Singapore region, and also have a branch office in North America. And they need to interconnect North America and Singapore, and currently connected between North America and Singapore. And the imaginary scenario is how these two companies can merge together easily with their network. Uh, just assume they already on Megaport to interconnect to each other and form a global WAN for different locations for different public cloud services to all connect together. And jumping into the portal, you can see that all these green lines are already being established. Just to save some time for today's demo session, I have the Melbourne router and the Melbourne ME interconnect to the internet service. Here's my MCR cloud router in Melbourne, connect to my cloud MV in Melbourne and hence internet. Let's use the looking glass function of the MCR to have a look at the routing um, on the router. So I'm peering with 512, right? That is my probably basically gateway here in Melbourne. And behind the gateway, I'm seeing a default route injected from the internet. And I'm seeing my interconnection subnet. That's another subnet. That's actually my public internet IP address on the gateway. So that's all I have currently on Melbourne Cloud Router. And on the North American Cloud Router, we notice that the Cloud Router interconnects to the Singapore Cloud Router, which is sitting in 65001. And that router should receive routes from the AWS sitting at 65530. So yeah, let's have a look. Now I have this 65001 and 65530. That's basically my AWS range injected from my single router and then back to my American router. and all the others just the interconnection subnets. Okay, that's just the initial setup. So what we want to do is initially, probably first thing is to interconnect the Google Cloud here in Melbourne to the Melbourne Cloud Router. Here I have created a Google Cloud VLAN attachment. I'll just use the attachment to connect my Melbourne router. Google Cloud, paste in the parent key. So based on the parent key, I apparently have multiple locations I can pick from for Google Partner interconnection. And given I am in the blue diversity zone, I probably pick a blue diversity zone in Brisbane. Just assume that this is my preference. I do want to set up high availability with the different diversity zones. For example, I have a router connection in red zone and the router connection in blue zone. So in case of hardware failure, it should only impact one diversity zone, or in case of Megaport need to do maintenance, then we only really do maintenance in single diversity zone in single metro area. So there will be no like a cross zone operation. So that will keep my service always available. This is my MCR in Melbourne to my GCP, GCP in Brisbane, and I'll keep the rate minimum just for demonstration purposes. Right. Um, that last order now is actually the action point where the service start to build and you will be charged for the service. But before that, you can definitely put together all your configurations as I just did on the portal and review them and make sure that you got everything right and then push to build. Well, let's wait until the Google Cloud interconnection um, working in the background. What I want to do is actually to interconnect the Singapore router to the Melbourne router. I noticed in the design I have 0.0 subnet and 0.2 for the Singapore router and 0.1 for the Melbourne router. So what I'm doing now is going to the portal from the Singapore router to create a private connection to my Melbourne router. This would be my MCR Singapore to my MCR Melbourne. And I do want to keep the bandwidth low just for demo. And there you go. Now, because MCR is fully managed by Megaport through the portal, so through the portal you actually need, and you can input some configurations here. For example, the MCR AN, that will be the Singapore router. I'm using, again, 0.2 IP address, 0.2. And I want that router to pair with the Melbourne router. So I use local IP address 0.2 and the Melbourne IP address will be 0.1. And just double confirm the Melbourne router BGP AS number 65000. Okay, that's my A end. O down. And back to the B end. B end is apparently the Melbourne end. I need the 0.1 for my IP address. The peer, again, reverse back to Singapore, that will be 0.2. And just double confirm Singapore AS number 65001. 65001. It looks good. I'm happy. I just well, push that to the provision queue and wait until the VXC to up and running for the first time. Okay, it's going to the backend. Let's just have a look at the Melbourne router really quickly because we just provisioned the Google Cloud interconnect. Let's see. Um, from the diagram, Google Cloud is default as number 16550. See the 16550 already up running, and we should receive some routes from the Google Cloud. Here are the new routes, 10.20 and 10.21, which wasn't here before. Let's just double check. So 10.20 and 10.21, that's from Google, and still the same default route from a gateway 65 5112. Okay, that looks great. So now we have this Google partner interconnect up and running, and we have provisioned that one. We probably need to wait a couple minutes for that one to be established and the BGP session to be up. But while we're waiting that, let's do another probably physical port in North America and just assume customer need to keep something in their legacy rack, for example, long-term backup or things like that, or some legacy servers they couldn't migrate to cloud. And what we can do is actually we can enable a port in the data center within 1 minute as well. Let's pick San Jose, Silicon Valley. I need a 10 gig port name. Data center would be SW1 data center. And there's a new feature here. You can see actually within certain data centers now, I think it's over 146, something like that. With these data centers, we can actually take care of the cross connection on behalf of the customer. If a customer chooses to commit a term, for example, 12 months term, then if you don't want actually to deal with that center, we can do that for you. Just enable that, and our team will go out and reach out to the data center and organize cross connection from our port to your rack. But understandable that it is not a fully automated process. So if the customer chooses to, no, I don't want to commit a 12 months term, I just want to go with month by month, then unfortunately this is not available with that option. Let's just go to month by month term just for the demonstration purposes. All right. I'm now okay to order my port in the West Coast of America, and I'll be connecting my port to my New York cloud router. That will be my port area to MCR New York rate limit 100 meg. Again, just for demo. Here you need to input your apparently BGP peering and IP addressing information because the other end MCR is actually a managed service. It's turnkey service. So we expect you put in all the configuration from the portal, and then on the other end, behind the port, it's either a firewall or router. We can then interconnect to the router or peer with the router over BGP. But we can leave that later because you might just, for example, for now, I just want to organize the port. And then once I got the later, I then go ahead, order my cross connection, and once my cross connection is in place, I then power on my router and do the router configuration. Then I come back to Megaport portal to reconfigure the MCR. You can also do that um, as well. But let me just order the VXC for now. Just assume that we'll take care of the rest of the details after this. Okay, the pod actually already up. So you can see within 60 seconds, we have provided the letter of authorization. This is a piece of paper you can bring to the data center operator and tell the data center operator that this is my port I ordered from Megaport, and now I present you this authorization. You can actually run a cross connection from this Megaport device to my rack, interconnect that to my patch panel router or whatever. That's actually how quickly it is. And the only thing takes time is to actually um, organize technician to go into the data center to do the physical cross connection. And with that already in place, let's have a look at the um, connection we just created between Melbourne and Singapore. Looks like it's already up running. Let's have a look of Singapore router through the looking glass. See from looking glass, then I can see I'm pairing with AWS already. I'm pairing with 65002. That's my North American. That's been there before. And I'm now pairing with the 65000. That's my Melbourne cloud router. And on the BGP route, table, you can see Singapore now received the default route all the way from Melbourne router and the Melbourne gateway. And it's also received the Google Cloud range from Melbourne and Google Cloud. So that's pretty much we have interconnected um, oh, we have interconnected APAC zone all the way back to the American within a couple minutes. Yeah. And what else you can do is we have actually already provisioned that. Yeah. What else you can do is you can also interconnect the cloud router in North American directly to the cloud router in Melbourne. In that case, you have backup paths and you build a high availability connection through the Megaport platform, probably, I will say, in a couple minutes, probably in 10 or 20 minutes for the whole network. Yeah, that will be pretty much everything for today. I think we roughly enter the time just to see if there is any questions about either global one or in general about the Megaport product. Um, okay, that's let me rephrase that. The question is it's basically about can I use a Megaport router to interconnect my internet instead of this MVE? Yes, you can technically. This ME is actually I just picked a random window to interconnect my internet to my global WAN infrastructure. You can apparently use MCR to interconnect the to connect your internet service, but um, be mindful that MCR is a really simple routing instance. It doesn't do any firewalling or filtering or things like that. So you pretty much inject it's called that the internet or plain internet into your corporate network if you're using MCR. So what usually happen is if you use MCR for the internet circuit, then you probably need to inject that from the MCR into your firewall or into another MV who does firewalling. Or otherwise, you better off just we spin up a MVE directly with a firewalling function and provision the internet service on that firewall. Does that make sense? Do you have any question? No, don't think so. Right, that's pretty much everything for today. And thank you very much for joining. And this is Friday, so have a great weekend ahead and enjoy the Valentine's Day today. Thank you so much. We'll probably see you next session of Megaport Tech Drop-In. Cheers. Bye.